Today, we're taking you to March 1st, 2014, to one of the most thrilling editions of Omloop at Nieuwsblad. This is the story of how a British rider became the first from his nation to conquer the opening weekend of the Belgian Classics, and he did it in absolutely brutal conditions. 198 kilometers of wet roads, slippery cobbles, and punishing bergs awaited the 164 riders who rolled out that Saturday morning. This was the traditional opener of the Belgian road season, and for Flemish fans, it was everything. Let's talk about Ian Stannard, because in 2014, he wasn't exactly a household name. Stannard came from the British track cycling program. He had that powerful, explosive speed and endurance. He'd adapted it to become something else entirely. A hard man, a classic specialist, the kind of rider who thrived when conditions were at their worst. By 2014, Stannard had established himself as one of cycling's most reliable domestiques. He was the guy who did the dirty work for Team Sky, pulling on the front and crosswinds, chasing down breaks, positioning his leaders perfectly. He'd helped win races, but he'd rarely had his own chance to shine. His resume wasn't exactly glittering. He'd won the 2012 British National Championships and nearly took Ghent-Wevelgem in 2011. Only to be swallowed up by the peloton with 500 meters to go. He was talented, he was tough, and he was underrated. The start list was stacked with other Belgian legends and classic specialists. Greg van Avermaet, the powerful BMC rider who would eventually win this race twice and claim Olympic gold, was hunting for his breakthrough victory. Tom Boonen, the legendary quick-step rider, was missing Omloop from his incredible resume, a race he desperately wanted to win. His teammate Nicky Terpstra, the reigning Paris-Roubaix runner-up, was equally dangerous on cobbles. And Thor Hushovd, the 2009 winner and former world champion, was back hunting for another victory. These were the names everyone expected to be fighting for the win. Stannard, he was there to work for his teammate Elvold Boassenhagen, the Norwegian who had his own classics ambitions. The wet conditions were brutal. Crashes were happening everywhere. Hushovd went down hard with 92 kilometers to go, and was forced to abandon. As the race hit the iconic climbs, riders like Van Mark and Terpstra showed they had the legs. Everyone was waiting for Boonen to make a move, but the attack never came. With about 42 kilometers to go, about 40 riders hit a climb together. Greg van Avermaet accelerated, and when the pace dropped, 7 riders slipped away. Edvald Boassenhagen, Lars Boom, Johan Alfredo, Nicky Terpstra, and others formed a dangerous group. Then came the Molenberg, 37 kilometers from the finish. As the group turned onto the cobbled climb, Alfredo crashed while in third position. Terpstra and Boom hammered up the climb and discovered at the top that they were alone at the front. This looked like the winning move, but cycling has a funny way of destroying the best laid plans. On the next critical section, Boassenhagen managed to bridge up to the Dutch duo. The 3 leaders had a 45-second gap. But there was a problem. Their cooperation was terrible. They were all watching each other. And then disaster struck for Boom. He punctured and fell back to the bunch. Without him, Terpstra and Boassenhagen started attacking each other instead of working together. At the final pave section, the remains of the peloton were just 20 seconds behind. Boassenhagen and Terpstra were caught. With 17 kilometers to go, about 20 riders were fighting for victory. The race was wide open. This is when Ian Stannard made his move. The plan had been for him to work for Boassenhagen, but plans changed in the chaos of the race. When several groups came together, Stannard saw this opportunity and didn't hesitate. He blasted away on the wider roads toward Ghent. Only Van Avermaet could hold his wheel. Here's where Stannard's track background became crucial. He knew exactly how to pace an effort, how to work in a 2-man group, how to conserve energy for a final kick. The two established an incredible rhythm, taking smooth, efficient turns, while behind them, Terpstra and Van Mark tried desperately to organize a chase. For a moment, it looked like they might be caught, but Stannard and Van Avermaet were relentless. Every time the gap threatened to close, they increased their effort. They were riding like men possessed. Inside the final kilometer, with the chase too far back, the 2 leaders finally started watching each other. It was going to come down to a sprint. When Stannard kicked with 200 meters to go, it was devastating. He surged past Van Avermaet like he was launched from a cannon. The Belgian tried to respond, chasing desperately, but he couldn't close the gap. His legs, frozen and exhausted, didn't have the snap in them. As Stannard crossed the line, history was made. Ian Stannard became the first British rider ever to win Omloop. For Stannard, this should have been the beginning of a magical classic season, but fate had other plans. At Ghent-Wevelgem, Stannard crashed heavily into a roadside ditch, fracturing vertebrae in his back. His Classics campaign was over. But here's what makes his story so incredible. He came back. In 2015, he returned to Omloop and won again, this time outwitting 3 quick-step riders, including Bonin and Terpstra, in a tactical masterclass. He became the first rider since Peter van Petegem to win consecutive editions, and to this day remains only non-Belgian to have won the race twice. Stannard may never have become a huge household name like some of his contemporaries. He would never win a monument. But in Flanders, in the wet and the cold and the chaos of the opening weekend, he proved he was every bit as tough as a legendary hardman of cycling. The 2014 Omloop had everything: crashes, attacks, tactical brilliance, and a sprint finish that crowned an unexpected champion. If you enjoyed this dive into a classic race, make sure to subscribe to 124 Cycling and hit the notification bell so you never miss our videos. Comment below and tell us, what's your favorite underdog victory in Classics history?